Hello everyone and welcome to Tipoff 2024-2025. Ron Poniewasz, sports editor, is joined by Newcastle News sports writer Cody W. Pattison, and we are going to tell you all about the WPIAL basketball playoffs, which were announced Monday night. We're sitting here Tuesday. We're just a couple days away from the start of the basketball playoffs. We'll have two segments for you. We'll start with the boys and run through them. And first off, we'll start with the Newcastle High boys basketball team, which, good news for the Canes, Cody. They got the number 2 seed. They're 19-3. What a regular season for Newcastle.
Battle back to win that section. Great regular season for Newcastle indeed, and they well deserved the 2 seed.
Mm-hmm. There was a time toward the end of the regular season they weren't playing their best basketball. I think it might have come on the heels of that loss to Seneca Valley, and there were a couple other games where they were winning but not playing their best basketball.
It's ebbs and flows with the Canes sometimes, and then once they get out of that, ebb, then they get the flow, and it all seems to work out. But you want to keep going on a high note entering these playoffs.
Right. That's the good news, that Newcastle is the 2 seed. However, they have a bye, and they will play Thursday, February 20th. We do not know a time yet, which is very puzzling for the WPIAL. Does that mean that they could stick a game in front of Newcastle at the field house? If not, just tell us it's 7 p.m. and be done with it. What's the big secret? The second part of that is they play the winner of Butler and North Hills. Both of those are section opponents of Newcastle. Newcastle lost to North Hills once, swept Butler. However, at Butler, Newcastle won on a game-winning basket at the buzzer. Tip in, I believe it was, in the lane. Hey, being that they lost to North Hills, could have lost to Butler. Who knows? This is a very dangerous side of the bracket for them.
Yeah, and they know both the teams, but in my opinion, 6A seeding, you should just throw that seeding out the window because every night's going to be a contest regardless.
Yeah, and then if they do get past them, they've got Imani Christian more than likely, because Imani Christian has a bye and they're the 3 seed. Good luck with that.
Imani Christian, it brings back the old private versus public. Imani Christian jumped up from 1A, now they're competing in 6A. That's just insane in itself.
Mm-hmm. And Imani Christian has 7 losses this year, 4 of them to out-of-state schools. So what does that tell us? Well, they have three teams that the state of Pennsylvania possibly knows. One of those losses was a blowout loss to Upper St. Clair in section play. Upper St. Clair is the number 1 seed in 6A. So how did they do against Upper St. Clair the second time? Well, they lost to them by 30 or 40 points the first time. They won the second game. So that tells you how good Imani Christian is.
Yeah.
So again, good luck with that. That's a tough part of the bracket for the Newcastle boys. We wish them the best of luck. Class 3A boys, we have a few games in this, or a couple games anyways, on this side of the bracket. First off is 7th seeded South Park. South Park is 15-6 overall, and they will host the 13-9 Elwood City Lincoln Wolverines. This is 7 p.m. Tuesday, February 18th.
Elwood City has done a great job with all the personnel losses that they had last season to even get this seeding and make it to the playoffs. They were great in their section. Don't think that they won't be a hard contest against South Park there, but even then, after that, if they do, foresee them going up against a 2 seed in South Allegheny.
Elwood City has lost 3 out of 4 games going into the postseason, so they're not playing their best basketball. And you touched on possibly overcoming the loss of Joseph Roth. Are you surprised to see them in the playoffs?
I actually am, yeah. There's no doubt about that. When you have somebody like Joseph Roth just leading that team, you got to have every other kid step up, and they've done a good job of doing that. And Dan Bradley's kind of helped navigate that. Yeah,
Aaron Lake, Caleb Cervic, a couple kids that have really filled the role of Joseph Roth, putting points on the board for sure. South Park has won 3 out of 4, so the teams are going in different directions. Elwood City's going to have to turn it around, certainly in that first round. And the second game in the 3A bracket, 17-5, number 3 Mohawk against Waynesburg Central. Waynesburg Central is seeded 14. They are 9-13 overall. This game is Tuesday, February 18th at 7 p.m.
Yeah, don't be surprised if you see Mohawk in the WPIAL Championship or getting announced in the semifinals. They build off of last season, which was a great run. I think they were the last boys standing in the state playoffs, so they're just continuing to build off of what they had last season.
How big is this first game for them? Because they're so young. You know, Drew Rona, I believe the sophomore, I believe he is. Bobby Fadden is a junior now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming into his own, certainly. They had a lot of kids graduate from last year, so this playoff experience is going to be kind of new for a lot of them. Certainly not Bobby Fadden, though.
Well, it's good to just get it out in the first round, and then once you shake off those nerves, you can kind of just get with the program. So hopefully that will be the case after facing a 14th seed Waynesburg Central.
And Waynesburg Central comes in losing 4 of its last 5 games. Mohawk, like a lot of our teams, boys and girls, has played a lot of games that were not close.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes you wonder what's the competition like in that section. But they've taken care of business. When they went up against Aliquippa the first time, it was a blowout. They played them at home, and Aliquippa won by 12 or 15 points, whatever it was. So you just kind of wonder how that is going to affect them going to the playoffs.
How much would it affect them too if they make it to the championships and then you go up against Aliquippa?
Yeah, yep, exactly. Okay, and the last bracket that we have for boys is Class 2A, and we have 4 games on the docket for that one, and it starts with a preliminary round game Thursday night, February 13th, this week, 7 p.m. The 16-seeded Laurel Spartans at 11-11 will take on the 17th-seeded Eden Christian Academy, 7 p.m. That game is going to be on the Spartans' home floor, so it's nice to see Laurel get a home game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too many times I've seen Laurel get a home game in the playoffs since I've worked here. Mm-hmm. And then even if they do advance, they got a tall task ahead of them with the number 1 seed in Greensburg Central Catholic.
Yeah, and both teams come in winners of 3 of their last 4. Laurel's going to have to continue to play its good brand of basketball, what's got them into the playoffs. A couple of kids that are playing good basketball for Laurel, Jaden Iorio, Lucas Antini obviously is playing good basketball. They're going to have to continue to play well.
Yeah, and they've been working on trying to, get to that point where they're on excelling. I saw it when they lost against Shenango, but they just keep, they're not going to hang their hat up on anything. They're just going to keep advancing and preparing for who they got ahead of them.
Absolutely. Okay, so the left side of the bracket, we have 8th-seeded Union at 16-6, hosting Fort Cherry, which is 9th-seeded, and they're 13-8. That game is Monday, February 17th at 7 p.m. And, you have a team like Union. They've lost to Neshannock twice, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart twice. That's 4 of their losses, 4 out of their 6 losses. They also lost to Mohawk and they lost to Grove City. So all of their losses have come to playoff teams.
Yeah, and it's really going to be dependent on other guys stepping up for Union to get past this first round, because if you just take Lucas Stanley out of the equation, it's going to be a snowball effect of sorts.
Yeah, and Fort Cherry has won 4 games in a row, so they come in with a little bit of momentum. This is an 8-9 game. It's kind of dicey. You would think that Union is good enough to get the win. And here's the thing. They win, they advance to play more than likely the top seed, so they're going to have their hands full, certainly in the second round if they get there.
Yeah, it's a no easy task for Union to even reach the semifinals for this season.
Yeah. 4th-seeded Neshannock, 19-2. They will play the winner of the number 13, number 20 game, and that is between Winchester Thurston and Beth Center. And that game for Neshannock will be Monday night, February 17th. And we have for Neshannock, they've won 7 in a row, and they're playing really good basketball. David Quat is certainly throwing the ball in from no matter where he's standing on the court.
They have a lot of key contributors here, and this is the first season John Corey said that they've had quote-unquote 2 forwards on the floor at the same time. Allison and Tony Parada, and those two just really know how to dish it out and play inside, and they're going to cause a lot of problems. And don't be surprised either if you see them hitting the semifinals and taking up the challenge of Greensburg there.
Tony Parada is really playing good basketball too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's gonna definitely have to be on his best game, every night, because David, you know you're going to get it from David Quat, and he's probably going to get a lot of attention. But Tony Parada's putting in a lot of times 14, 15, 16 points. He keeps doing that. You know, you're going to see Neshannock get way out there in the bracket.
And if you try and eliminate those, you got Jake Wren coming in too. He's another key contributor for the Lancers.
Mm-hmm. On the right side of the bracket, we have the 11-11 Shenango Wildcats seeded 10th, traveling to Chartiers Houston Monday, February 17th. That is a 7 p.m. game. Shenango's been playing really good basketball lately. They've won 3 out of 4, including a road win over Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. And a lot of teams struggle with Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. That's a really good basketball program. Shenango probably could have swept them. That's how good, Shenango's been playing this year.
They're all finally coming together. I think last week Joe Campoli dropped 60 points all by his own, and it's really all the team. If they click together, they'll have a good shot at taking on Chartiers Houston. It's not the physical issues, it's the mental issues of them getting eliminated last season in the first round and trying to overcome that.
And Chartiers Houston had a 13-game winning streak snapped on Monday by McGuffey by 1 point. I believe it was 46-45. So Shenango's going to have its hands full. However, by seed, they got a shot. They got a real good shot.
Yes, they do. And shout out to McGuffey. My mom's a lunch lady there.
All right. Great job, Mrs. Pattison, with the food distribution there at McGuffey. What do you think, rehashing these 3 brackets? Who do you like to go real far? Do we have any teams that are going to play for a WPIAL championship?
Obviously, I like Neshannock going real far. It's just that Greensburg game that they have to overcome. If it comes to that, you never know. I also like Newcastle, but man, you got to get past Amani Christian, and they've been known to upset a lot of teams, and they're no strangers to winning championships either.
Yeah, and again, that Butler North Hills matchup, what are we going to see from Newcastle? Or are they going to play the type of game like they played at Butler, where it's going to come down to the wire? And if North Hills wins, are they going to play the type of game that they did when they lost to North Hills? We don't know. And if they do get past them, again, Amani Christian, it's a really difficult bracket, one that I'm sure Ralph Blundo is not happy about.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier, just throw out the seedings, because each game is going to be a fight, for that next position there to get a shot at the championship.
Hey, that is our WPIAL boys playoff brackets. Stay with us. We're going to talk about the girls. We'll do that next, right here on Tipoff.
We all know there's an advantage to being the home team, to playing at home. And at LGKG, we have been your home team for personal injury cases involving automobile accidents and workers' compensation claims for over 90 years. At LGKG, over 10,000 clients have trusted us to represent them. We know how to present your case to a Western Pennsylvania jury. We know what makes them tick. We know how to win.